Okay. Creeping around the web, we went over there to Lars Larson. I don't like Lars that much, but he's okay. I just don't always see things the way he does. Last night, he told Megyn Kelly impeachment is the right solution for Barack Obama's duplicity. Here, my friend Andy McCarthy makes the legal case. Okay, this is the National Review online. He said if you like your health care plan, you can keep it. You'll be able to. Alright, we all know that. Now, if he'd been a CEO or an insurance salesman, he'd be in jail already. Right? That's fraud. Why is it fraud? It's not fraud that it failed. It's fraud that he knew it was going to fail and said that anyway. 3 years before this, he was told that it would fail. Fraud is a serious federal felony punishable by up to 20 years imprisonment. And every repetition of a fraudulent communication chargeable as a separate crime. In computing sentences, federal sentencing guidelines factor in such considerations as dollar value of the fraud, the number of victims, and the degree to which the offender treachery breaches any special fiduciary duties he owes. Case of multi-million-dollar corporate frauds, to say nothing of million-dollar Bernie Madoff level scams that nevertheless pale beside Obamacare dimensions, often result in terms amounting to decades in the slammer. Now, the Justice Department guidelines set forth in the U.S. Attorney's Manual recommend prosecution for fraud in situations involving any scheme in which the nature is directed to defrauding a class of persons or general public, and a substantial pattern of conduct. So, for example, if a schemer were intentionally to deceive all Americans or a class of Americans, people who had health insurance purchased on individual market by repeating numerous times over the airwaves and mailings and electronic announcements an assertion the schemer knew to be falsely misleading, that would institute an actionable fraud, particularly if the statements induced the victims to take actions to their detriment or lulled the victims into a false sense of security. For a fraud prosecution to be valid, the fraudulent scheme need not have been successful, nor is there any requirement that the schemer enrich himself personally. The prosecution must simply prove that some harm to the victim was contemplated by the schemer. If the victim actually was harmed, that is usually the best evidence that the harm was what the schemer intended. Now I'm going to pause this. I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to go slow enough you can pause it and read it entirely. Alright. He also knew 3 years before. Now I'm going to look around. I'm going to find the article. But for less than this, Holder's been putting people in jail. Then you got Solandra on top of it, and a few other things. Solandra, he was told Bush never did Solandra because they knew it was going to fail. Obama came in, put it up, it failed, and some other things. There's so many. You can also go to the nationalreview.com, not nationalreview.net.com, and read this in its entirety. Okay, we got 13,500 hits in 45 seconds on this. We're just going to take the top one, even though it is lamestream media, which I don't like, but here goes. CBS News is learning the Obama administration knew the risk associated with the Obamacare rollout well before last month. 3 years ago, a trusted Obama healthcare advisor warned the White House it was losing control of Obamacare. A memo contained by CBS News and strong leadership was missing, and the law's successful implementation was in jeopardy. The warnings were specific and dire and ignored. David Cutler, who worked on the Obama 2008 campaign and was a valued outside healthcare consultant, wrote this blunt memo to the top White House economic advisor, Larry Summit, in May 2010. I do not believe the relevant members of the administration understand the president's vision or have the capability to carry it out. Cutler wrote, no one is in charge who had any experience in complex business startups. He worried basic regulations, technology, policy coordination would fail. You need to have people who have understanding of the political process, people who understand how to work within an administration, and people who understand how to start and building a business. Unfortunately, they just didn't get all the people together, Cutler said. The White House dismissed these and other warnings. It relied on appointed bureaucrats and senior. I'm sorry, people, when you do things like this, you just wanted it to fail. Alright, now you can read this article and you can Google yourself. Here's the tie. It's total fraud. But the problem is you got 46 senators. Obama's a puppet for 46 senators. Now, you can find on my other pages the list of the 46. These 46 senators got to be got out. They need early retirement, whatever it takes to get them out of the White House. Because Obama would not get away with this except for those 46 senators. And yes, Reid is at the top of the list. He is more their puppet than they are his. Okay, here's your 46 senators that need to go. They vote the same way every time. But this particular vote I'm going to show you is flat out treason. They voted to continue with the arms trade treaty. Senator Inhofe made an amendment to discontinue the arms trade treaty. That was disarming the American people during a time of war. That's what the armed trade treaty is. To disarm we are in a state of war. We should be saying to arms, not no arms. Now just look that up. All you got to do is put in Inhofe Amendment S139. You can get it yourself. Check me. Don't be afraid to check me because I try as hard as I can. And if you do catch me where I messed up, please put it in the comments politely. It doesn't take rude. I can be corrected. I'm not perfect. But I didn't miss on this one. Now you'll notice these 46 people voted for all the bad legislation coming down the road. Okay? Now it's almost all Democrats, except for King, the Maine independent, and Sanders, the Vermont independent. Alright? Your independents and your libertarians, when they get in, they are worse than Democrats. They sit there and say all this stuff, but you people don't go and check their voting records. And if you do, you probably crawl in a hole and want to die because you're so embarrassed. And this isn't Steve King. This is this other King. I forget his name, but anyway. All right. You got Baldwin, Baucus, Bennet, Blumenthal, Boxer, Brown, Cantwell, Cardin, Carper, Casey, Coons, Cowan, Durbin, Feinstein, Franken, Gillibrand, Nelson, Murray, Murphy, McCaskill, Merkley, Menendez. Menendez he wants to try to keep Obama in office. He puts he put a thing through trying to get no term limits, a constitutional change. McCaskill, Democrat, Missouri. Oh boy, you did good, Missouri. Levin, Leahy, Landrieu, Klobuchar, however you say it. King, Independent, Maine. Not Steve King. I got him. Steve King is a stand-up senator. Kaine, Johnson, Hirono, Harkin, Reed, Rockefeller. In one of my other videos, you can see where how Reed got elected in the fraud video. Sanders, Schatz, Schumer, Shaheen, Stabenow, Udall, both Udalls, Colorado and New Mexico. They're just bad news. Warner, Warren, Whitehouse, and Wyden. Lautenberg didn't vote because he died, or he would have voted for it too. I don't know how to emphasize this. These 46 guys are the ones protecting Obama. If we don't get organized and we don't get after these people, you got two at the most in each state. It's not that hard. You need to push them into early retirement, come against them with everything we have, all right, and get them out of office, or nothing is going to change. Early retirement, not the election. If you're in elections, these people mostly got elected by fraud. You need to get in. That's on my other fraud video. See how they're doing it. Get in there, videotape it, and expose it right there. Make a scene right there. After you have your videotape, try to get maybe somebody videotaping you, videotaping it, but protect also whatever you videotape. All right. If you have a setup where you can streamline right to YouTube, that's the best way. Or, streamline it right onto the internet, or streamline it right into your mailbox, so that even if they take your camera off them, you already got it. But you got to get involved in the elections, and you got to find this fraud. And that's on my other video, and I don't want to keep repeating myself. I want to get off here so people on phones can see this video. We got to keep them short.